Welcome to the Infrastructure and Property Committee meeting of Muswellbrook Shire Council, being held at the Tech Meeting Room, Level 1, Tertiary Education Centre, 87 Hill Street, Muswellbrook, on Tuesday, the 14th of April, 2026. I declare this meeting open at 7 minutes past 5. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed and will be made available on the Council's website. I have acknowledged the country, Councillor Douglas.
I'd like to acknowledge the Wanneroo people, the custodians of the land that we meet on today. And I'd like to pay my deepest respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I offer that respect to everyone attending the meeting today.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cove, everyone be pleased to see it. Apologies.
Councillor Bailey.
Sorry?
Councillor Bailey.
Yes, we've got Councillor Bailey, Councillor Dunn,
Councillor Hartley.
and Councillor Hartley. You have seen all the emails. Put those through. Get the apologies and noted, Councillor Drayton and Councillor Marshall. All those in favour of accepting those apologies, declare unanimous of those council members on the committee present. Confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of the Infrastructure and Property Committee meeting held on the 10th of February 2026 as listed in the agenda. The recommendation is that the minutes of the Infrastructure and Property Committee meeting held on the 10th of February 2026, a copy of which has been distributed to all members, be taken as read and confirmed as a true record. Do I have a move and a second for that motion? Councillor Ward, Councillor Marshall. Discussion? Councillor Ward. Which part on the Sandy Hollow?
Yeah.
Sorry, General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. In relation to that, we are working with Infrastructure New South Wales around the funding, which is $8.9 million from Growing Local Economies. We're currently preparing tender documents and got 3 parties who we are negotiating with, which Council approved. The deadline at this point in time is the 31st of May, to at least provide some feedback to the funding body. However, at a meeting we held last Friday, with respect to the current fuel costs and the current availability of construction materials, supply chain challenges, they will be reconsidering their timeframes and we will report back to Council.
Thank you. Any other items? I therefore put the item. All in favour, raise your hand. So passed by all those members of the committee here present. Disclosure of any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests. Do we have any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests? I note that no councillors have declared a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Business arising, we've just discussed with Councillor Ward, just raising the issue with regards to the Sandy Hollow pipeline and the reply by the General Manager. Next, we have 6.1, which is the major project status report. The recommendation is that the committee notes the information contained in the report. Do I have a move and a seconder of this motion? Councillor Morris. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Marshall. Discussion. Councillor Morris.
Thank you. Put a little untidy this one. I can recall at a previous meeting requesting for I understand it's difficult, but I'll call it a non-committal timeline so that we can get an idea of how long this has been going for, what's the expected completion date, ballpark of these things. I understand some of them are waiting on grants, and that's a quite kind of request. But if we can just get an indication of when the project was started and when we hope to have the project finished would be very, very handy. Some of them were quite well. It didn't look up to date. For example, the first one, which was the Pocket Park, which is construction tender currently open. My understanding was the tender had been awarded. What's happening with the Possum Gully realignment project? Again, it says here a contract was awarded rather. I have no idea when, but so then the project started. So this is where the timeline would help. what's happening with some of these items. Campbell's Corner Commercial Works, it appears to be completed, but it's still on the report. Curious why I think, and there's a number of them, I won't go through all of them, but it looked to be a little ad hoc as to how it was presented to councillors and incomplete. And I have no idea of some of these projects, how old they are, and we hope to have them completed by. Notwithstanding grants are a problem for some of them.
Okay, can I just make a general comment? You've stolen some of my thunder to some extent. I had a phone call with the mayor earlier on today. I read this report and I found it extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
With regards to the lack of timelines, the lack of defining what actions are actually specifically happening, and also identified, as you did, I think there's about 3 or 4 instances where things are in the past and the action that's resulted from that thing that happened in the past should be in the report, and it's not in the report. I also note that the quality of said information differs from the different departments that we get it from. Some of the departments that provide better than others, and I find the whole report disappointing. And I'm not sure whether as chair of the meeting, I'm in a position to say this. I have concerns about accepting the report in its present state, in that I find there is at least 40 of the 65 issues identified in the report where I would question. As councillors, we need more information and need more clarity. I have a decided issue with the report. That's my comment at this stage.
I think I can give you that number, council. I believe it's 31.
31.
Yeah, well,
I didn't actually count them up. Again, it's a public forum. I was actually angry when I finished reading this report and the inadequacy of the report. Any other councillors wish to make a comment?
Well, we might answer some of the questions I have.
Okay, you mentioned some specifics, but as you've just identified, there's 31.
Can I suggest,
right?
as a course of action, Councillor Scholes, as a course of action, it's a matter of not accepting the report. The report's got information, and of course, not information as good as we want, not complete.
Yep.
As you said, I think it's about improving the report. For sure, it's about improving the report. And I think we could probably sit here for 2 or 3 hours going through each of these with some answers. I think it's probably a big enough issue, to be honest. Projects is one of the key focus areas for this council. Probably a big enough issue. If I can suggest maybe that a workshop be held just focusing on these projects to get all the answers we want.
I would agree with that.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Morris. Could we also we'll defer it as well and report it to the 28th of April council meeting and look at all these issues you've raised as well. We're okay with that.
So you're proposing to defer, Councillor Roden?
The only issue I have, I'm happy with that, but that would mean we would have to have a workshop between. I just don't think. I think there's so much information in there. I don't think we're capable of getting through it in any sort of timely manner.
Okay.
If we stuck this in the middle of an ordinary council meeting and wanted an explanation to 31 items, they're going to take 2 or 3 minutes each. There's 90 minutes for one item in our agenda. We're going to be here awfully late. So I think, to be honest, and I think it's important enough that we treat it separately, and it might take a couple of hours, but we treat it and give it the importance that we believe it needs.
So you're suggesting that we run with the recommendation, noting that we will have a workshop with regards to it.
Yes. It's up to the secretary there.
I agree with that, yeah.
Well, from the chair, actually, that's the problem I had. I started with the number 1 issue and then went through that one and went through that one and went through that one. It just got that way that I knew if I did that, which is what I was originally planning to do, we would have been here until the dark dim hours of tonight, and I would potentially we don't have the people here to provide us with all the answers. And I'd like to have those certain other people who provide us with those answers. So I'm quite happy to accept Councillor Morris's thing. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, therefore I'll put the motion. All those in favour can we put the endorsement within the motion that we have a workshop to discuss the items? Can we put that within the motion, please? As item 2. Okay, I'll put that with the additional to the motion. All those in favour? So passed unanimously of those members present. Sorry. Oh. Okay. So 6.2 is the owner's consent for groundwater monitoring station at Victoria Park. Recommendation is that the Infrastructure and Property Committee recommends the council, number 1, placing the licence proposal on public notification for 28 days, during which time the public will have the opportunity to provide feedback for council's consideration. Number 2, should community feedback be received, a further report will be submitted for the consideration of council. Number 3, should no community feedback be received, council grants owners consent to the capacity of Crown Land Management Matter to grant a licence of 5 years as opposed to 20 years as on the documents that you people have there. Notation from the General Manager, it's for 5 years for the operation of the groundwater monitoring station in Victoria Park. And 4, enters into the licence on the terms generally consistent with the draft licence attached in this report. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Morris, do I have a seconder? Councillor Ward, discussion?
No.
I'm just intrigued at the connectivity of the water there to Nottingham Pole at Victoria Park. I find that very interesting, actually, but anyway.
It's been in place for some time. It's interesting, yeah. And we've had annual licences up to now. We thought we'd extend it for a period of time so councils would have to deal with it regularly.
Mm.
And the reason we had to change from 20 years to 5 years was because you need to have a plan of management for the park. We don't currently have that at the moment, so it's 5 years is the maximum.
Oh, thanks for that explanation. Any other further discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Raise your hand. Declare unanimous of those committee members present. Now, the next thing that proposed to adjourn to closed committee, discussing with the General Manager, item 8.1, which was to be dealt with in closed council. The gentleman is proposing that matter would like to be deferred. So therefore, there's no need to go to closed council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the reason is we just want to provide council with some more information. And Josh's advice is we really should be providing you, and it's good advice, with a budgetary allocation and not just saying we'll find the same. It's really not. We can't ask you to make a decision on that basis.
Yeah, but we are talking about a lot of dollars.
Yes, we're talking about significant funding. But Paul's done a great job in identifying the requirements here. The thing.
Yeah. And without explaining what it was about, so therefore I don't have need to go to closed council. So I think that gets us to the end of this particular meeting. I declare the meeting. The next day of the next meeting will be the 9th of June, 2026, and I declare this meeting closed at 5:20.